Invincible Season 3, Episode 4, You Were My Hero. I think we started this one off in the grocery store. Obviously, the new superheroes, now that they're not with the Immortal and Duplicate, they're trying to gain some semblance of normalcy upon their own new living situation. That led to Invincible bringing the little spy robot thing to Robot so that he can kind of decipher what was going on with it. And
so and then when he does that, again, what we're left with is it's human based, but I have no way of tracing where it came from. So in Mark's mind is, let me just go destroy some more property and put people real life. He knows that there are like real actual human beings that work at the Pentagon, right? And that when he smashes through a building at any given time and starts throwing shit around and fighting recklessly, that he could kill one of them people, right? Since he's so worried about killing, since that just seems to be the only line that's not crossable for him. There's no amount of protocol that makes sense for him. There's no chain of command. It's his way or the highway. There's something happening to Mark, y'all. There's something happening to Mark. I think we're approaching a crossroads for him as a character, but he continues to show that like this moral grandstanding that he's on is going to lead him to have to make an ultimate decision. I feel like he's not going to be able to have everything he wants. He's not going to be able to have the things that he feels are right or wrong so strongly and have his family and have Eve and have, this nice guy persona. Like, people are going to stop making excuses for you. That's another thing that I feel like is a common theme of the season here so far, is that people are making so many excuses for Mark. It's crazy. Every time he does something he ain't supposed to, they excuse it away. Mm-hmm. Somebody excuses it away. His mom excuses it away. Eve excuses it away. The Guardians that left, right? That left with Rex, they excuse it away. You're going to get to a point where you realize that this was here the whole time, but it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. Yeah. I can see that coming a mile away.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we can also probably talk about the fact that Eve and Invincible, they have a couple of dates. Within these couple of dates, they have sex. They tell each other they love each other already.
Very quick.
So things are moving very quickly with them, despite not really even having an actual. I guess they've had a first date at this point.
Yeah, I mean, this is a long time coming, so I guess this is a huge payoff for the shippers and whoever else, was heavily invested in this. I feel like we're wasting a little bit of time. I feel like we're a third through the season already, and there are some other very pressing issues that are afoot. Some other character arcs that need a little bit more attention. But then again, like I said, this is something that they've been building to for a while. So this is the payoff.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then the guys who stole the Declaration of Independence.
What was it? Apparently in Jumpstart?
Something like that. I thought it was Jump Kick or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. Oh, Drop Kick. Drop Kick.
Drop Kick and something like that. And something else.
That sounds about right. So they... First of all, they stole the Declaration of Independence because they were using the ink of it for a weapon.
To kill their king. First of all, we should explain that they're time travelers in the first place. That was something that I didn't necessarily expect. But they are kind of keeping with this idea that we're going to continue to have time travel as a plot device in Invincible. So that's something to keep in mind out for. Dealing with a lot of things, dealing with deaths, disappearing characters, things of that nature. Time play or time travel is in play. So they come from a future where they have a dictator that took over the world. They are too far from, the actual history of how he got there to know anything real. The Declaration of Independence was said to be the secret to killing him. He could poison him with the ink of the Declaration of Independence. That's some stupid ass shit.
Yeah.
That tells you how like history can be distorted over generations. That's hilarious.
For sure.
But turns out the Mad King is actually
the The immortal
is actually immortal. Yeah, so that was an interesting little twist. The one thing that stuck out to me though in that sequence of events is the fact that Mark said no. Mark actually didn't want to go. Like he actually made the decision not to go, and they forced him to come. And it was
like pushing him into the portal.
It was, in my opinion, by the grace of God, that he didn't just murder them immediately for taking him to this spot, because that's how impulsive he's been.
Yeah.
Right. He's being selfish. Number one, like my date with Amber, or excuse me, not Amber, with Eve is more important than saving this potential future. A year ago, Mark went to a whole nother alien planet with some stranger because they told him that they planet needed to be saved. And that's how he got in front of his father. Mm-hmm. Now, Mark is like, no, fuck your planet. Yeah. He's changing. And I don't even know if that's necessarily for the good. He ended up saving not only his father's life, but his little brother's life as well. Yeah. When he did that, when he went out there and didn't even think about it and went to do what was right. Now he's making all of these moves according to his own personal morality, not necessarily what is actually right or wrong.
Absolutely.
Which should concern a lot of people. Shout out to my nigga Cecil.
Sure. Yeah, I thought it was insane that, first of all, yeah, you're right, that he wouldn't go. But I thought it was weird that when it came to learning about the immortal and everything that the immortal had gone through, the fact that he couldn't even remember duplicate because he had been through hundreds of wives.
I've had hundreds of wives. Do you know what that's like? To see every one of them live and die. I would probably just stop having wives. I would just quit. I would quit. Yes. I wouldn't have needed to get to 100, fam. Let's just say that. Right. I wouldn't have needed to get to 100 wives to say, you know what, maybe marriage is not for me.
But even at that point, it's like, this is clearly not the immortal that you know. Mm-hmm. So, like, taking off on him isn't that serious, is it? It shouldn't be, at least, especially when you're saving the world and freeing the world from this tyranny.
I think it plays into this whole Mark is confused because he's living off of values that he thinks are right and not necessarily what he knows to be like his own internal code, right? Like he's doing these things trying to prove that he's a better version of his father, that he won't betray the planet, that he won't end up a bad guy just like every other version of him in every other universe. So he's overcompensating. And these decisions come from an overcompensation, not necessarily from, oh, this is what's actually right. So he's in this weird spot where he's making the right he's making decisions that are more Nolan-esque, trying not to be Nolan. Yeah. Right? Like, and even in instances where he may be warranted for doing what he did, it's still reinforcing the idea that moral grandstanding is what is going to push you towards prosperity. That clinging to decorum and how things are supposed to go and how the pieces are supposed to fit, you clinging to that is going to push you further and further. Is kind of what I'm picking up. And the question is, how far does it slide? I think what they did by eliminating the will they won't they with Eve and Mark is probably going to force them towards conflict a lot sooner. Again, even Eve is making excuses for him right now. But how many more times is she going to watch him make a decision like that based off of what Mark thinks is right? And not necessarily what she knows him to know is right.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that made perfect sense, actually. Especially since she's a superhero and she knows there's a code that they work by. Anyway.
And it just surprised me that, well, it didn't surprise me. That's her boyfriend. He's all sad about it. She making excuses for him killing Immortal. I mean, okay, there's going to come a time where he's going to point straight back to this instance where you accepted it and try to liken it to whatever extrajudicial killing he's, going through with at the time. And he's going to rub your nose in it. He's going to be like, but it was fine for me to kill Immortal. That's different, Mark. Well, not all that different, actually.
Yeah.
If we're just allowing him to go around and kill when he feels the need or he deems it necessary, and he's the only one that has the check and balance on that, everybody should be scared.
For sure. Absolutely. So they do this weird thing where they cut the episode, but then they move on to what's going on with Alan the
Well,
Alien and everybody, the Viltrumites and
you
all that
know that.
stuff.
Yeah.
And so obviously we go to see them, and it looks like it's time to get up out of here. Alan is, ready to start whooping some ass. The Viltrumites come to finally give execution to Nolan. And so it becomes time for Alan to have to come save him and get him up out of there.
With Battle Beast.
That was crazy.
Now, I didn't expect it. I didn't know what I thought was behind that door. I wasn't expecting Battle Beast. And now we're getting full dialogue from that character too. It's a lot more interesting. It's adding some stuff to the character that we didn't get when he tore Mark Grayson apart.
Yeah.
So much intrigue around that character. I want to know where they're from, why he has this insatiable need for like competition, almost to the point where he's willing to risk his life just to be competitive, to have an equal match, to have somebody who's worthy of his power, he says.
Yeah, if he's going to lose his life, it's going to be to a warrior more powerful than him.
My man said, I'm about to just fight you because you promised me Viltrumites and all these aliens suck. You're the only one here that can fight me. I also am very interested by the evolution of Alan, man. He's at a point where he could play possum and then come back and punch through a Viltrumite's head. With Nolan, he's playing possum to motivate Nolan. Like that wasn't possible last season.
Against the Viltrumite.
Against the Viltrumite, exactly. Also, the most important nugget we get from this episode is the secret that the Viltrumite Empire has been hiding, which makes all the sense in the world if you think about the story that they told or 2 seasons ago when Nolan was breaking it down to Mark. So they went through almost a century of fighting, of trying to breed out the weaknesses in their bloodline. Imagine what that looks like for Viltrumites, of just constant warring against each other with superhumans to get the most superior bloodlines possible. It had to have been an epic bloodline, but not only a bloodbath, the numbers that they had to have been diminished to such a degree, you can't repopulate that fast. There's no way. And not keep it pure, especially when they're sending Viltrumites out here to other planets to breed. I thought about this back then, and it came back up now. Why wouldn't they just be constantly breeding other Viltrumites? Why wouldn't they have a segment of their own society that's there just specifically to breed, right? Why would you do that in lieu of going to other planets and trying to breed new species almost? Well, they're doing that because there isn't more than 50 true blue Viltrumites left. Which makes them able to be overwhelmed, which changes the entire dynamic for this whole
easily
galactic takeover shit. Yeah. Now it makes them weak. If people know that, they could turn their forces on the Viltrumites and strike first. So that's a huge nugget.
And all it would take is some Viltrumites who are looking to help take it over.
Or some that you can convince that they're better off joining this coalition than on the sinking ship that they're currently on.
Absolutely. So that's that was a very interesting nugget of information that they made sure that they told us. Any other thoughts on this episode at all?
We're starting to see some semblance of a team or strike force or some sort of defense versus Viltrumite onslaught on Earth. So Nolan's back in the picture with Alan. Obviously, we got Mark and Oliver. We got Eve and the Guardians. Earth is pretty well protected, and now that secret is out, right? Because they know once Nolan is not recovered, then they know he defected again, and they know what he knows, so they know that they can no longer hide behind the fact that they're this big power. Where do they strike first? Do they go straight for Earth? Do they hit something weaker to try to recuperate? Who knows where this is going next? But I do expect the war escalations between these two factions to start to pick up now because all the chips are on the table. The only thing that isn't known is the fact that Homeboy is a Viltrumite spy, the one that's leading the. Wait, he's not a Viltrumite spy. I thought he was a Viltrumite spy because he killed Alan. He killed Alan to make him evolve. Never mind. So that's not even out anymore. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
we're good.
yeah.
He's a former Viltrumite. He is the Viltrumite. That guy.
Yes.
The leader. Yep. Yeah, he's a former Viltrumite.
Yeah, for sure.
They got him too.
Yes. Yeah. I like the episode for sure. I like that they gave us a lot more about what was going on with Alan and everything like that. Yeah, I'm ready for episode 5.
Go ahead and give us your thoughts on this week's episode, or last week's episode, I should say, of Invincible. Put your comments in the prompt below. Like, share, and subscribe. As always, share this out. Please get us to other people. Let us know what you thought about the episode in total. And come back and visit us next week for another episode.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out our playlist full of Invincible recaps, where we've done at least last season and obviously everything from this season. Make sure you subscribe. We will be talking about more Invincible season 3. Peace.
Peace.